For generations, young black men in America have carried more than just the weight of their sentences. They've carried the lifelong shadow of a criminal record. From post-Civil War laws to modern drug policy, the system has worked less like a set of neutral rules and more like a pipeline, channeling them from schoolyards to prison cells and locking the doors to opportunity long after release. Before I continue, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends, so more people can discover this content. Also, subscribe to receive more content like this. No US law or memo has ever stated outright that the goal was to give young black men a criminal record. Yet across 150 years, a series of laws, internal directives, and policing strategies had that exact practical effect. Layered together, these measures disproportionately targeted black communities, especially young men, embedding criminal records deeply into their life trajectories. These records did not just reflect past behavior, they acted as permanent barriers to employment, housing, voting rights, and full participation in society. After the Civil War, slavery was no longer legal. But some southern states still wanted to control the lives of black people. So they created unfair laws called black codes. These laws made it a crime to do things that weren't really bad, like not having a job, called vagrancy, standing around in one place for too long, loitering, or getting a new job without asking permission. Vagrancy basically means not having a job or a home. Under these new laws, black people could be arrested just for being poor or unemployed, even if they hadn't done anything wrong. The resulting arrests fed into the convict leasing system, leasing prisoners, overwhelmingly young black men, to private companies. This early use of criminal law both controlled and exploited black labor, while permanently branding individuals with a criminal status that would follow them for life. The FBI's COINTELPRO was a secret program that ran from 1956 to 1971. Its goal was to watch, disrupt, and weaken groups and leaders in the black community who were working for civil rights and justice. Basically, the government was worried that some black activists could bring people together and lead big changes, so COINTELPRO used spying, spreading false information, and even breaking up meetings to stop them. The FBI didn't just look at what people were doing, they actively tried to make it harder for leaders to organize, get jobs, or be trusted in their communities. In short, it wasn't about keeping people safe, it was about stopping black leaders from gaining power or inspiring change. While these efforts focused on political figures, they had ripple effects on communities, associating black activism with criminality and entangling many leaders with legal troubles. A criminal record could make even prominent activists unemployable in mainstream institutions, weaken their ability to travel freely, and diminish their credibility in court and the media. The 1970s introduced a new, broader front, the war on drugs. In 1971, President Nixon declared drugs public enemy number one, launching an aggressive policing campaign. Years later, Nixon aide John Ehrlichman admitted that the administration associated black people with heroin in order to disrupt communities. Enforcement patterns overwhelmingly targeted black neighborhoods. Arrests for minor drug offenses meant acquiring a criminal record that would reduce access to jobs, public housing, and student loans, extending punishment far beyond jail time. In the 1980s, federal funding for drug enforcement surged, and the 1986 Anti-Drug Abuse Act created a 100-to-1 sentencing disparity between crack and powder cocaine. Because crack was more common in low-income black neighborhoods, young black men bore the brunt of these harsher penalties. Long sentences meant years away from work and education, but the criminal record itself acted as a second sentence. Employers could refuse to hire, landlords could deny housing, and some states permanently barred ex-offenders from voting. The 1994 crime bill funded massive prison expansion, entrenched three-strikes laws, and placed more police in high-poverty areas. The result was record-breaking incarceration rates for black men. Those released often found themselves locked out of legitimate employment, excluded from public benefits, and under constant threat of rearrest for technical parole violations. In many states, the loss of voting rights meant they had no political voice in changing the very laws that affected them. By the 2000s, the scale of disparity was undeniable. A 2008 Human Rights Watch report found that black men were nearly 12 times more likely than white men to be imprisoned for drug offenses, despite similar or lower rates of drug use. Criminal records accumulated through such enforcement created generational effects. Children growing up with incarcerated parents were more likely to live in poverty, face educational challenges, and have their own interactions with the criminal justice system. The 2010s brought limited reform. The Fair Sentencing Act of 2010 reduced the crack-to-powder disparity, and public discussion of systemic racism in the justice system grew, fueled by works like Michelle Alexander's The New Jim Crow, Mass Incarceration in the Age of Color Blindness, which argued that mass incarceration functions as a modern form of racial segregation and control, similar to the Jim Crow laws of the past. Yet even with reforms, the damage done by decades of over-policing and harsh sentencing persisted. A criminal record remained a key driver of economic inequality, civic exclusion, and intergenerational disadvantage in black communities. A criminal record does not just end when the sentence is served. It imposes lasting limitations in almost every area of life, including many employers automatically reject applicants with convictions, even for minor offenses. Public housing authorities and private landlords may deny applications based on a criminal record. In several states, felony convictions led to temporary or permanent disenfranchisement. Some colleges refuse admission to applicants with certain criminal histories. Federal student aid eligibility can also be restricted. Certain drug convictions can make individuals ineligible for food stamps, cash assistance, or other benefits. Careers in fields like healthcare, law, and education often require licenses that exclude those with criminal records. Some countries deny visas or entry to people with criminal histories. A criminal record can be used to challenge or limit parental custody rights. Beyond legal barriers, the label of criminal carries lasting social prejudice, affecting relationships and community standing. Today, in the 2020s, some states are still making changes to their laws, but having a criminal record often sticks with someone for life, like a permanent label that makes it hard to move on. For many young black men, it closes off career paths before they begin, blocks access to safe and affordable housing, and strips away voting rights. It also increases the likelihood of future police contact, since prior convictions can bias both officers' perceptions and prosecutors' decisions. When viewed against the backdrop of documented memos, racially skewed laws, and historical patterns of enforcement, it becomes clear that while no single document declared such an agenda, the lived reality has been indistinguishable from one. The history of black codes, COINTELPRO, the war on drugs, and mass incarceration reveals a consistent through line. Criminal records have been weaponized as tools of social control. Though no law openly declared its purpose to criminalize young black men, the cumulative effect of these policies has been precisely that. A criminal record functions not only as a record of past conduct, but as a mechanism for restricting access to opportunity, perpetuating cycles of poverty, and reinforcing racial inequality across generations. Lasting change requires more than piecemeal reform. It demands dismantling the structures that equate criminality with blackness and replacing them with systems rooted in equity, justice, and genuine rehabilitation. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into history, policy, and social justice. Drop a comment below to share your thoughts, questions, or ideas for future topics. We'd love to hear from you.